Welcome to the Hub podcast. I am one of the hosts, Cheney Passer, and my co-host, the second to, assistant to the host,
Assistant to the regional manager.
assistant to the main host, me, is Courtney.
Depends on the day.
Courtney
Depends on
Briggs.
the day.
Courtney Briggs.
Snaps. ASMR.
Yeah, no. That gives me the willies.
I don't.
That stuff gives me the willies.
That's one of those things though that your body just is either into it or it's not.
Yeah.
Like you get like the drip feeling in the back of your neck.
Drip feeling.
Yeah, 'cause some people it's like, oh, they don't like it, and it's just like, okay, yeah, it's not my thing. But then there's some people that it actually like something with your. I could be totally making this up, but from what I've heard, it's like something with the way that your ear is formed. It hears those sounds differently, and then it like triggers a signal that sends like a warm fuzzy down your spine. So it's not just like, oh, I think I like that. It's like, no, my body's telling me I like that.
That's weird. I do not get that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever had that feeling.
Maybe not. It's just
I
like
can't.
those specific, and it could be certain like certain ones, like the way that the pitch is or how the sound waves hit your ear. It does that.
Does it for you?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm. There's also
Does
like
anything?
I've never had. No, I don't think so. I could see what they're talking about, like, because everybody that has talked about it or have described it has described it as the same feeling.
Really?
So I feel like there's no way that many people are making it up. Like that feeling that they get.
Yeah, no. No, I wouldn't think people are making it up.
But no, I don't
never
have
had that.
Mm-mm. Same thing
I've
of like,
had
you know,
your
those.
friend does the. Remember when you do that in high school?
Yeah.
In the head.
But same thing with like the dog whistle sounds. There's like a really high pitched sound that you can. It's either like a whistle that you can draw your dogs in, or it's basically just to like chill them out. Of like, hey, calm it down.
Yeah.
I always remember Stephanie would play it in the office, and Zildjian would be like, "Oh my gosh, you have to turn that off." And we're like,
He could hear it?
yes. There's certain people that can hear those like really high pitched. So I don't know if he could hear lower registered things or not. But yeah.
That
I'm sure
doesn't
it's just
that
the
doesn't
way
give
that-
people like the
No.
drip.
It's just just certain people can hear different
Just different
volumes or
pitches.
pitches, and I bet it's probably the way that their ear is formed. The way that the
Weird.
sound like ricochets in their internal ear, so then they can either hear it or not.
Yeah. I just don't get how I get how like, no, I actually don't. Not how certain sounds, certain visuals, I get how that can be like soothing and that, that looks, I don't know. There's just stuff that, people, whatever it is, cutting stuff or whatever. But the sound.
Oh, yeah.
The sound never does it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the sound thing.
Visuals for sure for me.
Yeah.
Like they had that on I don't know if it was on TikTok or something, but it was like like they would take like crayons or chalk and like scrape the chalk.
Yeah.
Or like certain things like that.
Or
Like they'd melt crayons and then they'd swirl it together
Yep.
or whatever, like popping stuff.
Yep. Yeah, I've never that
That
I
gets me.
get.
That gets me.
The like audio, the hearing, I don't get that.
No.
Cuz I like the one
Sorry,
car
I'm
guy.
sniffing a lot.
The one car guy that I watched, he did an ASMR one. And he
Yeah.
was like, just doing all the things, you could hear all the sound, and maybe it's also just like wrenches and stuff doesn't sound that cool, but I just don't get the like
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, like, maybe
I
it's
don't
just,
get that feeling.
I don't really like, I don't know, sounds annoy me. It's like when you're cutting on the cutting board,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like,
Well, and I feel like most of the ASMR stuff is like mouth stuff. So it's just like gross to me.
Yeah, it's like the
people
soft
eating
talking.
or whatever. I'm like,
no.
that like gives me the willies.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
like someone whispering in your ear.
That's what I thought most of it was like people just like softly talking or, it gives me the
It can be,
willies.
but I almost feel like I feel it that way of like I can feel the tickle
That
in
I
my ear,
feel
but I don't like it.
yeah.
I don't
It's
like it.
not a drip down the
No,
whatever.
no.
It's like this is super uncomfortable and
Yeah.
scary.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Sniffing is gonna not be
I
great.
don't like that stuff at all.
No.
I already know looking in like the cameras, we got to get stuff up there.
Yeah. We will grow. We will add things to it.
Yeah. You don't think about that, like the visual of it all.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, it's the wind.
Okay. You're saying me specifically, or just as a
just
person?
you as a person. Like,
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate watching other people's stuff of like how much they put into the visual of it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's so something that just blends. Like you don't even really pay attention to it unless it looks bad, it seems like.
Sure. Well, I think that's what's tricky is I feel like I was thinking of that, but until you actually get everything in the space, you don't actually know like size-wise how is it going to look. You know, like I knew these chairs were going to look good together, but then when you actually get them in the space and like, well, how does it shape? And like that shape versus this shape. And then when it's angled differently, it is just, there is so much trial and error with this kind of stuff that I hate it.
Yeah.
Because you can't like prepare. It's like you just have to do it and then figure it out and do it and figure it out and then continuing to do it and figure it out. And I just want to like, okay, it's all set up. Now go.
Yeah.
And there would be no fallbacks.
Yeah.
But that is not the case, especially not the case when you've never done something like this.
Right. Well, and I feel like with us too, we're going to change our minds so much. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like we're going to get stuff up on the walls or whatever it may be, whatever else to make it look how we want visually. And then it's going to be like 2 weeks and we're like, oh, let's do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and hopefully we can adjust and get comfortable with setting up and stuff too, that we can change location a few times too.
Yeah.
I feel like this house has so many cool spots that I want to utilize rather than just like, well, it's just easier to stay in here and then say we move and it's like, oh, we could have taken advantage of the different visuals.
Well, and that's something we've talked about too, of just wanting to do more mobile stuff anyways. Like maybe we're on a hike or just on a walk and doing one, or like on a road trip doing one. Yeah, I think we'll be more mobile with it because it's really, I mean, even just setting it up now, like all this stuff was downstairs. It really didn't take that long to get everything up and set it up and whatever. I think also like we know how we like it set up in here, but
yeah.
I think that'll be fun doing more mobile stuff, and as long as we can just get everything to click. So we took some questions on Facebook and we're gonna answer those best we can.
And if you want to ask your own question, you can go to our Facebook page at The Hub Fitness. I'm still figuring out which ones are what.
We'll put like a thing up to make sure.
Okay, yes.
'Cause
We'll put all of the links for
trying-
our YouTube, Facebook, and then we will soon be getting an Instagram, but I'm kind of holding off on that for a hot second. And then our email, you can always email us at thehub.fitcrew, all lowercase, at Gmail. And they're just questions, pretty much any question that you've ever wanted to ask. So whether it feels like it's silly and small or something a little bit more in depth to you, or you want us to really dive into a topic, we're kind of opening up the floor to have it assist you.
Yeah.
Not just what we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So last couple of questions we answered were about diet. But now we're going to jump into talking about just in general how to get motivated to work out. So whether that's you've never worked out before and you want to get into it and you have questions of what to start with or how, or you have been working out but you've been on a break for whatever reason, or I feel like we all kind of go through this, whether it's the holidays coming up or you're sick or you got injured, and then just that, how do you work back into that process, the logistics of that, but also the mental aspect of just getting the oomph to want to be able to even look into those options.
Yeah. I think I think the first place to start with that, as far as getting motivated or just getting on track in general, is you have to start small. This is why, like the New Year's revolution or resolutions, whatever, tend to always fade out because it's this aggressive blitz to get back into it, which I think everybody admires, but when you look at it the long term, it doesn't usually work out. It's this like, you go from kind of 0 days a week, maybe like a sporadic once every 2 weeks, you think about working out or whatever, to like, okay, I'm really going to buckle down and I'm going to go 2 or 3 days a week. It's like, it's just not going to work. You have to slowly get into it, and it may seem like it's not enough, or it may seem silly, but I think as a long-term goal, it's to get to a sustainable part where you're consistently working out and it fits in your schedule and it's perfect. And we know more now than we did before of like, you don't need to work out every single day. It could be 3 times a week, and that's plenty. You can get a lot done with just 2 times a week. But I think you have to start small. You have to go, what am I doing now? And then do something super attainable.
Because that's what I was going to say is to remind yourself that you're starting out from nothing. So even going on a walk every day, or just getting in one lifting workout, or even just like going, whether you're working out at home or you're going to a gym, just show up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes for me, I always remember like even just driving there, driving there, putting the clothes on, being around in that space and around those people again. It's an adjustment when you haven't been doing that, especially if you're coming back from like being injured or something like that. Giving yourself the time to, okay, I wasn't doing anything, so anything that I'm doing is a win.
Yeah.
And just continue to build on that. Only thing that I would counteract or add a different view on it is this is a great experiment to get to know yourself and how you work as well, because I know we have also said we work better if we just jump into it full force. So sometimes that approach can work. Maybe that's not, okay, I'm going to jump right into a strength phase after not doing anything. Okay, maybe that might not work for everybody. If you really want to do that, then again, analyze your whole situation of, I want to start working out every day again. Okay, maybe know that that's not the healthiest for your body, but if that's going to be the best way for you to get into it, okay, then now you're just adding in a few more recovery days or some mobility along with you going in every single day. But getting to know how you work do you work better just sprinkling it in and then building, or do you need to jump right into it and then you'll stay consistent? I think the thing is, whatever is going to keep you consistent, create a new, or adding that into your lifestyle again, whatever makes that happen, do that. 4 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody is different, and whatever's going to make you go after it and get in the gym or whatever it may be. I think just analyze how is this gone before? Are you doing the same cycle every time where you jump into it and it's 3 days a week and it's like, well, I last 6 months and then I seem to kind of fade away and then I get out of it. Well, maybe 3 days a week is too much for you then. Go down to 2 days a week and do 2 days a week and see how long you can do that for. And I think people just, the common thing is to go too much too fast. And even with the workouts too, you may go, okay, yeah, I know I can get there twice a week, so I'm going to do that. But then you go to the gym and you do 2-hour workouts. It's like you also have to manage the workouts you're doing too, of like, what am I able to do? Because you don't want to be going to the gym going, God, I don't want to do this today. Granted, that might be the start. That might be the start. That's a lot of it, but don't let it be, I don't want to do this today because it's a 2.5-hour workout. You're maybe doing too much, especially because it'll probably steer you away from not working out anymore, not being active anymore.
And that's a big thing, that if this is you're starting out fresh again, that you are taking into consideration the physical aspect, but also the mental aspect of it. That physically you haven't been doing anything, so anything is going to be a bonus, but also anything is going to be activating and causing a stress, a healthy stress, but a stress on your body that your whole lifestyle can kind of revolve around that or like evolve with it, of making sure you're eating according to this new add-on, you're drinking and hydrating, and you're also stretching and adding your mobility back in, that whatever you are doing, still making sure that you're taking care of your body during this transition, which is what it is. It's a transition out of not doing anything, because that can also steer people away from, oh, well, I just don't want to do this too much. Well, yeah, because you put yourself in a position where it wasn't going to be able to handle the things that you're placing on it. But then also the mental aspect of it, of figuring out why you possibly weren't doing it beforehand. Do you feel like you're super busy? Do you feel like it was something like coming up where the holidays where you just needed to take a break, or was it an injury? And figure out for yourself, why did that break happen in the first place? What mental shifts might have happened during that time of, I know for me, when we were kind of more in the thick of COVID and we weren't working out as much, I noticed a mental shift in myself of, oh, I don't feel as bad about myself anymore with not working out. So I was in less of good a shape, and I noticed like, oh, I can look at myself in the mirror and not nitpick everything that I see. So then when I went back into working out, and even just the first couple days, even back in California when we just started using the bands, I saw that come back again, like immediately. That I'm like, okay, well, I know that when I wasn't working out, this is how I felt. So how do I bring that new mental space in when I bring back working out, when I bring back the weights? That headspace I was just allowing that to happen. I wasn't aware of it. So now during that break, I was able to kind of analyze, oh, that wasn't a super healthy space to be in, and now I can adapt.
Yeah.
To where same thing, if you're taking a break from an injury, how did that injury affect you? How did you get there in the first place? Is that something that you could have avoided or helped yourself out with? And then coming into it with...
Which is awareness.
Yeah.
I think it's a good point. It's well, kind of watch yourself think. See what's going on as you're coming back into working out too, because that can kind of show you maybe why you left doing it the last time. Is just your mental space. Are you nitpicking too much, or are you just not taking it seriously enough, and then it falls to the wayside? There's a lot of different things. I think on my end, usually what I need to hear is just like, it doesn't matter. Your excuses, anything of why you're not doing it, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like, that working out, it makes you feel better about yourself. It makes you healthier. All the benefits to it. You just need to not make excuses and go. That's usually where I come from with it. That's usually what motivates me to get back into it or to do it. So I guess for anybody that is that type of person or that way, where it's like, quit making excuses. Just go do it. Like, and sometimes it's maybe not the person, but it's the timing too. Yeah. Where it's like, nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody cares that, you have kids and it's hard to do, or nobody cares that you work a lot or whatever. Like, the excuses don't matter. You just have to go do it. You just have to do it.
Yeah. And I think that's something, if we're now talking to the person that hasn't really worked out ever, and they're just wanting to create that lifestyle now, or bring it into their regular schedule, that's something that you're just going to need to find for yourself and feel for the first time for yourself of, oh, I am happier when I add this into my life. I feel like I can eat better. I feel like or even just like I have more energy throughout the day. When I am at work or when I am dealing with kids, I have more patience. I have more of a bandwidth to be able to handle that, because I'm putting my body in a centered space to be able to handle all of that. I'm putting on armor for myself to be stronger physically, mentally, and emotionally to handle those kinds of things.
That's
that it's not just, oh, because I want to look a certain way, which is for most people, but it affects mind, body, soul. I hate that phrase, but like it alters every little part of you.
yeah.
And whether it's the mental toughness part of like, I didn't want to do it, but I still showed up for myself.
That's a huge win.
Or
Those are the important days, the ones that you don't want to go and you still do. That's where you really start to, in whatever way, that's where you really start to grow. Is like, I did something that I didn't want to do, and I did it because I know it's for the betterment of my health, and not even just physical, but mental health as well. Those are where you really grow and you get the wins.
yeah.
It's easy to go when you want to go,
Yeah.
or you're excited about the workout or whatever it may be. But it's difficult when you don't
Yep.
want to go.
Yep.
But that's where you really get the benefits.
Yep. And I think that's something to let's touch base on for that person that maybe hasn't ever worked out before, or even if you're coming back from something, how can you logistically plan for this? I think for me, some tips are start adding it into your regular schedule. So for me, where I fall short and any day that I would skip or miss out on is because I'm, say, working and I just don't want to stop, or I feel like I can't because I have to get this done. Those are great days where you can just add it in throughout your day. And I notice that when I take a break from whether it's working on the computer or whatever I'm doing work-wise, if I take a break from that and then go do a set of something, it's almost like my brain got a refresh.
Yeah.
My
Totally.
body got a refresh. It feels like my stiffness that I had, I don't have as much anymore. My creativity comes back. Because I think I'm feeding my body and I'm giving my body what it's wanting. So now it's going to produce more for me.
Yeah.
So if you're one of those people that you're maybe working all day or you're studying all day, take that time every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes throughout your day to just add these little, even just if you're, especially you're starting out, just doing body weight exercises or getting bands and doing band exercises.
Yeah.
Just getting your body through those movements and your mental space of, I'm taking time for this. This is no different than showering. This is no different than eating. You have to make it a must. You can't give a option to it.
Yeah.
Because that is the first thing that's going to get popped out of your schedule.
It's the first thing that gets thrown out.
And so make it a part of your schedule now. Another thing I would say is, how can you make it exciting? I know this is not a long-term solution, but I know for me, if I'm excited about something, I'm going to be way more eager to take the extra time with it or make it a part of my schedule. So whether that's you find a workout program that you are really pumped about, maybe it's one of ours that we have.
Yeah.
Or just you have, and this is like so off the wall, but I'm just speaking for the people that are like, I never want to go to the gym. So finding anything, maybe it's you buy a new outfit that you get to wear to the gym, or you get a cool new water bottle that you get to bring, or you are going to do pre-workout for a couple months. So then you get the zing for when you get to go in. Anything that you look forward to doing, because it might not be the actual workout itself that gets you amped yet, or even the feeling that it gives you, it might not get you excited to go. Find the thing that's going to drive you there, the thing that's going to have you look forward to it. Because the things that are naturally going to happen to you, of you feel better, you'll be able to function better, those things will happen. They will happen a little bit later. And I think for those first couple weeks or the month, you might need something a little bit more artificial to get you pumped about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially when you're just coming back or just starting out, you got to make it exciting. You got to, whether it was you were working out before and there's certain exercises that you like to do, so you want to go do that, or maybe it's you really like to run and that's what you want to start doing. Do what's going to excite you and get you back into it. And then you can maybe, start to, a little bit later on, you can start to get into the stuff that's like, oh, I don't really like doing this thing, but I know I should be doing it, and then do that. But I definitely agree. You should do things that get you into it. And like you said, it could be anything. I mean, it could be like you got a new pair of running shoes. It could be
Yep.
headphones. It could be an outfit. It could be like just you're excited to go to this gym that you signed up at,
Yeah.
or you love sunsets, so you're gonna try to go,
Yeah.
walk in.
Create a cool playlist
walk
that you
and see a
only get to
sunset.
listen to when you're there.
Yeah,
Something like that. Something that you can
Whatever.
isolate that time to, this is when this special thing gets to happen. So if
Yeah.
it is something like pre-workout, you're not taking it for just any other part of the day. You're having that just for that time. You don't get to wear that outfit unless you're at the gym, so that it
Yeah.
forces you to like, this is a just this kind of treat or motivation.
yeah,
And also just give yourself some patience. I think throughout this transition, don't give yourself excuses. Show up for yourself, but I think give yourself some grace and patience while you're figuring it out and while you're, trying to rebuild this structure again.
yeah. Or like you said, even just starting to build the structure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think patience. I think you got to start small. I think you gotta you gotta do something, or whatever it is that excites you to get into it, and have some patience. Those three things could go a long way.
Yeah. Cool. Feel like that answered the question.
Yeah, I think that's
Cool.
good.
Okay, so next question. Okay, this one is, if you're building muscle and strength but can't see your gains, what do you do next? I love this question. This is the question I asked myself.
Oh, really?
Not anymore, because I know the answer to it. I know the formula. I think it's the mental block for me. But I want to touch on both of the actual logistics and the formula, but also how this can just be super frustrating as well.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, I think most of the time is just your body's an adaptive machine. It just is. It's going to adapt to whatever you're doing. And this is part of why, like, it's difficult to lose weight, because your body starts to figure out what you're doing, and it just adapts to then make, say you're going less calories, and it adapts to functioning with less calories. And then you're now functioning at less calories, and yada, 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 your body's adapted, and now it won't lose any more weight. So on the flip side of this, it's kind of the same thing. Like you're trying to put on muscle, you're trying to put on size, you're maybe increasing your calories and doing that, but your body just kind of stops responding. You've put the same stress on it for however long, and some people it's quicker than others. Some people can do the same thing for 5 months and they continue to go and go and go. Some people can only do it for 5 weeks, and all of a sudden their body starts to slow up and not do anything. Especially when you get to like higher levels, I guess, of fitness, your body really slows down changes.
Yeah.
So when that's starting to happen, I think most of the time it's, you just got to switch it up and do something else. If you're just constantly trying to do, maybe it's high weight and low reps, you got to switch it up and go, do 3-4 weeks, or maybe even longer, of bump it back up to 15-20 repetitions and kind of go more of the muscle endurance route and do that. Maybe playing with your calories as well at that time. But most of the time it's just, you got to change it up and do something else, because your body has figured out what you're doing and now it's going to stop changing. So you kind of got to go away from it for a little bit and trust that what you have built will stay, because that's also a kind of a mind trip, is you're just so focused on putting size on all the time. And then, most people know, like, you go higher repetition, you're working more, it's not, the focus isn't on putting on size anymore. It's something else. So,
Well, and it depends on even what your intention is with doing that. Like high reps, and they're like thinking of all the ways that you can adapt, or think of all the ways that you can switch it up. Because you could be doing high repetitions, but your tempo during this version of a high repetitions versus high repetitions with this tempo. Like for me, I know I always kept the same, like say with squats, like 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, hold at the bottom 1, hold up 1, 2, 3, to where then when you're like, just try to like burst up, or in your chest press, like just try to like burst it up, even if you have to bounce a little bit. I have never done that before. So even though it was the same 15 reps, or even you break it down to something smaller, just my tempo alone was a different change and a shock to my body. So you could, alter your tempo. You could alter your, obviously your weight and your repetition
and your reps,
and
your sets,
and also the ways in what you're doing the exercises. Like if you stick to just regular deadlifts, maybe try straight leg or sumo. If you're used to doing squats super narrow, bring your feet out a little bit, or vice versa. If you're, like just thinking of how do I normally do these things? What could be something else that I could switch in with that? Now, don't do that all at once, because you want to give your body, I feel like that's just can be overwhelming for no reason.
What do you
unless
mean?
you really want to. Like, it's not like, well, where are all the things that I can change it? I'm going to do that the very next time.
Can
maybe
you give me specifics?
Like, say if I'm doing squats narrow stance, and I've always done it that way, and I'm coming from a 15 rep, 12 to 15, and then I'm going to switch back into my strength phase of like 1 to 5 reps or 5 to 7, that I could alter my stance then, or just the altering of the reps and the weight could be enough on my body, rather than like, I'm going to add more weight, change up the reps, and I'm going to completely alter how I stand in my squat compared to when I've ever done it before. Sure, there's some things that might be too much during that change.
Yeah. Well, and I think if you're good at
and
those,
just unnecessary.
If you're good at those skills, you already kind of know how to do that. I think that would be okay. But yeah, if you're, and that's where I think this is, this can be an awesome time of, say, you're trying to put on size, or you're trying to get, a lot stronger. And you start to maybe hit this plateau or hit this point where things aren't really changing or developing. This is where I would go, okay, I'm going to go back to doing 15 reps. And now I'm going to do all the exercises that I avoid and that I'm not good at and that I don't like to do. Start to go do those and learn those skills and work on that, because now when you start to come back, not only are you working on things that you weren't before and getting stronger in different areas, you're doing it at a pace that's a lot more manageable. Kind of like what you're talking about of don't go do new exercises you're not used to doing and be doing a whole bunch of weight and low reps. You go higher repetitions, practice it, treat it like it's a skill and you're practicing the skill, and make sure those 15 reps are getting better and better each time. And then after you do that for, a month, 2 months or whatever, and you want to go back into doing more strength stuff, well, now you have maybe a couple different exercises or a couple different variations that you can put more weight on, kind of like what you're talking about. Say you do a pretty neutral squat, you hit this plateau, you go back to lower weight and higher repetitions. Now work on a wider stance, work on a narrow stance. And then when you go back into a strength phase, you can start working in the narrow stance and the wide stance. And there's so many different exercises that you can do that with, just the variability. That go work on what you're not good at or what you don't know, and then come back and do it. Because sometimes it sucks. You want to put on size and strength, and it's scary to move out of that, because it's like, well, I just want to be big and strong. Well, you're plateauing and it's not going to work anymore. You got to go away, learn new skills, learn new techniques, work on other things, and then come back. That's going to it's going to push you past now too.
Well, and even for this person, like asking, it's not even like they're saying I'm plateauing. Like their muscle is going, like their strength is going up and continually going up, but they just don't see the effect on their body, like a physical or their physique, to where that is I think that's a great opportunity where your body just might be continually building in the same way. So your frame is naturally going to build out in specific areas, because that's where your bones are stronger. That's where your tendons are stronger. So
The way you're doing your exercises.
the way you're doing your
and which
exercises.
ones you're doing.
So that could be a great time where you mix up the type of exercises that you're doing, because then that's going to trigger and signal a different part of your body and a different part of your movement pattern. But then also to assist with that, I would add in mobility exercises that are going to assist that new way of movement, so that that whole function is working healthily and properly. So like, for example, just at the hotel, I was able to do Arnold press.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I always used to do this. And that's like I would sometimes do just regular shoulder press, but most of the time I would do Arnold press, to where now stepping away from that and not doing that for a long time, if that is like a new movement for you, a lot of that shoulder rotation was very comfortable for me and still kind of is. But like, I always remember from my dad, that would always just like kind of kink just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So that could be a great new movement that you could add in that would definitely build out your shoulders, I think, in a slightly different way, just because it's going to fire differently. But your mobility and your range of motion in that new movement has to be just as strong as the weight that you're putting up, is how I see it. So adding mobility to those new movements, adding new variabilities to those exercises, because your body just might be like, well, yeah, I'm going to stop building here because these other supporting areas aren't growing along with it. You know, it's like people that don't do legs that often and they just constantly do your upper body. Well, if you start doing legs, your upper body is going to grow more.
Yeah.
Because you have the radiation effect, and it's just like, your body is smart. It knows, well, I'm not going to get super heavy up top because you're not building your legs enough to carry me.
Right.
Same thing. If you do chest press the same way every single time, well, we're only going to grow so much for you because you're not adding in the full picture of what we could be.
Right.
So I would say if you're that person that you're like, I'm doing all the things, I feel like I'm still seeing my strength go up, but I'm not seeing it, I would look at your workout and say, how many different ways can I mix it up? Or do I continually go back to a same rep range or weight range or same kind of exercises? And if you're one that doesn't write it out, I would suggest writing it out, because I know for me, when I did that, I was like, oh, I basically do the same 5 exercises because I just liked them. So kind of force yourself. And that's why we love that we have our programs, because it's something that I always struggled with, or I liked when someone would write my workouts for me, because it kept me a little bit more accountable, and it would force me to do things that I don't typically choose on my own. But yeah, I would just take time and look at your workout and what you've been doing and your history of what you typically have been doing, and try to mix it up and challenge yourself to something new, because your body just might need a little bit more of a well-rounded and balanced approach to it.
Well, and I think there's something to also, like, you're looking at yourself in the mirror every single day. Mm-hmm. So it's also hard to see changes. So maybe factor that in a little bit too. It depends on how long.
That's true. That's so true.
If you've been doing the same workout routine for, a few months now, probably time to switch it up. Yeah. If you've been doing a new one, you might just be a little too impatient then.
That could be the case too.
And then, I feel like I always go back to this, but the mean person comes out. But it's like, also, are you doing enough? Are you going into the gym and going through the motions? Yep. And, have you been doing these exercises and now you hit a weight where you're comfortable at? Yeah. Well, you need to push it. Like, your body adapts and changes because you put stress on it, not because you do what it can. Motions. Yeah. You don't do what you can do all the time. Yeah. You have to go in, you have to push it. You have to do more weight or, different exercises or whatever. You have to make sure you're doing the work. Yeah. You can't just go in and go through the motions and expect things to change. So there's the mean part is maybe you're just not doing enough. Yeah. Or you're not going hard enough. Yeah.
That's something that I needed to really analyze for myself. And yes, it may be we need to have like a nickname for it. Like anytime this pops out, I want to just say like you, but that's not you as a whole person. But I was
A lot
doing
of
that.
time.
I was doing that though. Like I felt like I was doing it and I felt like I was putting in the work and I felt like, I was like, wow, I know how to do these exercises. It's not even like I'm doing them incorrectly and that can be something I could switch it up. But I was just getting so comfortable.
Yeah.
And sometimes for me, it is scary to push it. Like
Oh yeah.
setting up for deadlifts and it's like, it's barely getting off the ground. Like it's not like it's squats where it's on my back. Like I barely have to bring it off the ground. And like the fear I have
Yeah.
of, what if I can't do it? Or what if I can't get it
Yeah.
up? Or what if I, whatever. But I think you just have to let that go. And if
Well,
this goal is important to you of actually seeing physical change, which I think is an awesome goal, it's a fun goal to have. That's basically I would say 90% of what my fitness goals have been, look change. Yeah, aesthetic changes. So I get it. I think it's fun. But understanding the work that goes into that, being able to look how you want, as much as it can be a rewarding and super like amazing thing to be able to figure out your body in that way and experiment and go, oh, I kind of want to look like this. Okay, now do it. It's hard.
oh, it's
so hard.
It's so difficult to change your body in any way. People may not want to hear it that are overweight and trying to lose weight. They think that's the hardest. Well, guess what? People that are skinny and small and are trying to put on weight think that that's the hardest thing to do. Like most of the time we're all at a place that we don't want to be and we're trying to work to something that we do.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for everybody, whether you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to get bigger, you're trying to, run a marathon. All of these things are hard for each individual person. So it's hard to do, and you have to work hard to get it.
Yeah.
Almost always. None of this stuff is ever,
No.
I just go in and I go through the motions and I get the results I want.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, look at some of like the old school bodybuilding. Like I feel like a lot of this business has been created based off of the ideals and the mindset of like someone like Arnold or some of those old bodybuilders that, like, yes, you treat your body as, it's so stupid, but like, I don't want to say the word temple, but what's another word? Because I think that's stupid. But like you put your body on such a pedestal of importance, which is, I think we both do that. And whether that's from what do you say? Like a health standpoint, or if it's based off of looks and you want to be able to walk around looking a certain way, or you want to be able to be in a swimsuit and feel confident and look a certain way. All of those things are awesome, but just like those old school bodybuilders, that was their job. Like that was literally their day in, day out, was focusing on creating that. So if you think of your body as something that can be adapted and something that can work with you and be built upon and taken off and chiseled and shaped in a specific way, that can be super fun and super motivating and a cool thing to experiment with and mix up. But also I think, understanding that it's a process. So fall in love with the process, because it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of work.
Well, most of the time it's never ending. I mean,
no.
I've been working out since I was in middle school, basically.
Yeah.
And the goals have never stopped. They never stop. So it's
so let it be fun.
Yeah, you got to enjoy the process and give yourself some patience. But I think to sum it up, I would say, look at, how long have you been doing this same exercise routine? Maybe you need to switch it up and do something else. And I would say if you're doing like heavyweight, low reps, you got to go to somewhat of the opposite or go away from that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Your body's adapted to what you're doing, and you need to make it adapt to something else now and do that for a little while, then maybe come back to it. If you don't feel like that's the case for you, then maybe looking at your diet, maybe you need to eat a little bit more, because food is fuel.
Or different things.
Yeah, or different things. But food is fuel. If you're not giving yourself enough calories or energy, that's going to affect how much weight you can lift, how well your workouts go, how energized you are. So maybe look at your diet and, like you said, doing maybe more mobility stuff to kind of open up different channels of how you're exercising and the structure that you're building, because yeah, you can kind of get stuck in the way that you do everything, and then things aren't going to want to grow or change because you're doing that same thing all the time. So
Yeah.
switching it up, even just the exercises, maybe you need to go to different exercises.
Okay, so we have one more question. The person that is asking this has binge eating disorder. So their question
That's what
is,
we think, right?
that's what we looked up. That's what
said
we think it is.
BED.
BED, yes.
Yeah. So
But
we'll answer to that. If it's not that, sorry, but that's
and
what
then
we're
we'll
going to
just
answer to.
we'll answer based off of the rest of your question as well, which is basically she's explaining that of how does she not continually overeat and have her weight go up and down and basically yo-yo dieting, but doing this thing of continual binge eating.
Well, is it yo-yo dieting where she's switching up diets all the time, or is it just won't eat for a while, then binges, and then that sort of
I
thing?
am not sure. She said, "How can I motivate myself to stop fitting a whole pie in my mouth? I joke, but seriously, I can't do this up down up down anymore."
Okay, but I don't think it's yo-yo dieting. I think it's just kind of like just portion control or just trying
Sure.
to.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yes.
It's tough to do. I mean,
I feel for you.
I don't.
I don't know how this. I don't know how this is. I don't have this personally.
I feel like I do this in very like spread out moments or times. Sure. I think everybody's like, just kind of gone on a binge and eaten a lot, and that's
yes.
It's not a consistent issue for me,
right.
but it's tough because this is something that I feel like all of the words in the world won't really do anything. It's something that you gotta more so look inside yourself and see.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And figure it out that way. But I think little tricks or little things that you could do is like is by like literally portioning the things out. Say you get a bag of chips or something or whatever it may be, or it's a pie. Like cut it into slices, and then
Yep.
Take out one slice at a time, kind of thing, and just and as you go to it, make sure you're going like I'm only gonna have one, or say it's the bag of chips, take that whole bag and spread it out over multiple baggies or multiple containers.
That's something I started doing not now, but before, when we would go out to eat, like immediately just splitting the meal in half. Like when they bring your food, ask for a to-go thing. Because most of the time you go to places and it's 2 portion sizes or 3 portion sizes. So just right off the bat, just putting the other half away. But I would say with that, if you're someone that I feel like probably has a deeper emotional issue with this, it could also help to kind of have someone to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, sometimes that's even hard of like, okay, I'm just going to eat 2. It's like, well, no one's stopping me from eating that third. It's hard for me. It's hard sometimes. And I can especially imagine for this person of like saying, well, I told myself I was going to only have 2. It's hard to stand by that. It's hard to like see beyond that want to see into the future of, okay, but I'm going to feel better if I don't afterwards. So I would say have someone, if you can, to hold you accountable in a nice and supportive way. But then also for yourself of like kind of what I just said is think about less of what am I feeling right now? Right now, I really want that third one. Or say I'm talking about a cookie. I really want that third cookie. But I know I will feel better about myself. My body will feel better in 10 minutes from now or in 15 minutes from now. And then keep adding the time that I didn't eat it. I will feel better about myself. And you are basically just learning to gain trust with yourself.
Yeah.
Of, okay, I didn't do it. This time I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I will. I'll eat that third one. But it's a process and we're practicing. And again, you'll just keep gaining that trust with yourself. But like he said, I think this is probably a deeper emotional issue to why you feel like, or even if you are, I would say, diagnosed with this, that it is not just a like, well, I'm just choosing to overeat, or it's like it's the diet, or it's da 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 da. That it is more of a thing that you feel probably has more of a control over you. So I would really dive into that of what does food solve for you? What problems do you feel like it causes when you're in that moment of, oh, I want that third one? What's coming up for you? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it stress? And
comfort,
then,
even of like
or comfort,
thinking
yeah,
of having another one.
yeah. So take it from that space of, okay, emotionally, what's the root of this? Because that is something you can work with. I think it's harder sometimes to just like, well, I'm just going to say I'm not going to do it. That might work for a little bit. I don't think that is long lasting. I don't think that's solving the major issue.
It doesn't work most of the time.
No, I think it's temporary.
Yeah.
It's temporary. To where great, you're maybe creating new patterns for yourself, and like I said, you're learning to trust yourself. But what caused this in the first place is if I were you,
Yeah.
what I would be searching for.
Yeah.
Did you maybe have a bad relationship with food growing up? Was this a learned behavior? Is this something that maybe your parents did, or siblings, or things that you saw growing up? Is this how you were taught to treat food? Or was it the opposite? You were maybe kind of restricted, so now you feel like you're taking power through the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would dive into it a little bit more emotionally, and sometimes that can be the scariest thing to do, but
I think that's how you really solve the issue.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's tips and tricks, but I do feel like those are a little bit more temporary.
Yeah.
I think we should still talk about them or
Sure.
bring some
Yeah.
up just because they can help. I think what I've noticed for me is if I going into it, I say, like I tell myself how many I'm gonna have, or even just like when it pops. I feel like most of the time what happens for me is it'll pop up in my head of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have another one, but then I'm just quick to kind of not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when that comes in, maybe really trying to go, no, like don't
Yeah.
listen to that voice and get into it, because you'll make up whatever little things to say that it's okay. Well, I've been good lately, or I've been, doing
Yeah.
this or that or
Yeah.
whatever. So I think kind of being more stern with yourself is a way that you could go.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm going to add to that. I think having somewhat of a standard for yourself, and you might need to have a little bit of that, like, no, you're going to do it, and I'm not going to fall back on it this time, or whatever is helpful, but also having some compassion towards yourself, because if this is a deeper issue, this is probably something that you have had your whole life. So you're needing to rewire your brain with how you see food. And that could be something that has stemmed, since you were a kid. So this could be however many years of learned behavior, and something that you have concreted into your behavior patterns that you're trying to rework. So take the time, take the effort for yourself to look into it. But then also having that stern approach with yourself of, I'm worth focusing on. I am worth the time that it's going to take for me to dive into this. Yeah.
I think it's hard to keep your eyes on the prize per se. Like like I said, it's easy to just kind of let those thoughts just drift away and not act on them. And I think something that I think of often, and I'll probably say often on here, is like, try to think about what does the best version of you do? in this moment or at this time, and then act on that. Does the
Yeah.
best version of you continue to do it, continue to eat more than you should, or does the best version of you stop right now and put it away and be done with it? So for me, it's try to be really conscious of what you're doing, conscious of while you're eating, how much you're eating. Don't just not think about it. Really try to think about it and sit with it while it's happening, or maybe while you're getting up to go get another cookie or do whatever it may be. Be conscious of it, and then do your best to make the right decision there. Because I think it is just like you just kind of go blank and you go up and do it rather
Yeah.
than thinking about what you're doing
Yeah.
and then acting on that.
Yeah. Awesome. We wish you luck with that. I'm happy that I don't have that, because that would be a hard thing to, I feel like, navigate. But you can do it.
All right, thanks for watching. We have some Black Friday deals out now, 50% off each program. Go ahead and check those out on Facebook, or you can email us at thehub.fitcrew@gmail.com. Also, like and subscribe our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and this YouTube page. Also hit the bell so you're notified each time we have a new podcast out, and you can stay up to date with us. Again, thanks for watching.